The human skin is the canvas of which we paint our lives. It is, however, as fragile as thin, plain glass. The human skin, the human skin, the human skin, thin, plain glass. The human skin, the human skin, the human skin, thin, plain glass. The human skin, the human skin, the human skin, thin, plain glass. The human skin is the canvas of which we paint our lives. It is, however, as fragile as thin, plain glass. The young man who is our protagonist sits on a green park bench in a semi-crowded park. Not too crowded, but crowded enough to give off a small hum of noise from the groups conversing amongst each other. A part of him loved being engulfed by the amalgamation of the different colors and timbres he heard. He sat bewildered to the gravity found in the still reflection in the thin layer of shimmering edible grime at the top of his mug. The image was of steel giants that, surrounding him, peered down. They were both symbolic, yet concrete angels looking over him. But due to their immalleable nature, they could not intervene. They were there to be muses, and nothing more. He felt most alive in the heart of the city, a life that had a validity he had never known before. Our protagonist is a young freshman attending college for the first time. Libraries in their dusty glory offer a refuge to old souls trapped in newer vessels. To our protagonist, they offer a vast array of opportunities not found outside these hallowed walls. To him, this mere quality was meditative. The numb hypnotism of blurring, it was, if nothing, cathartic. If you were to ask our protagonist why he was studying music, he would have no answer for you, but rather would let the music speak for itself. Music at its core is unexplainable. When brought to life and extended beyond the page it resides on, is one of the few sublime moments stuck in this tangible world. Its intent is never questioned. It is a fond lover or a presence that has nurtured you for years. A voice so familiar, it is nectar. It's odd to take a subject that is, by its definition, objective, when it is more natural to feel music. It's these unanswerable questions and philosophical banter that plagues our protagonist's mind. He stood at the door of the building that held his first class. Inside, a grand piano sat on the stage of the grand hall. She is a master of orchestra. She is the very foundation of music. It is a music hall where a young composer finds out if he or she is made of the right stuff. Our protagonist felt the swell of gravitas from the men and women who have come before him. The weight of the moment was intangible. Though it was a simple moment, it was profound. The sudden glimpse of her kept our protagonist's attention. She was a rock that he had learned to appreciate. An appreciation that, with countless interactions and moments of half-assed intimacy, led him to know her as the love of his life. She had eyes that had a shade of green that could not sustain a definition. It was October now. The view from the window was as bright as ever, but the air outside grew cold and brittle. Our protagonist was to meet with her. He felt anxious. The cafe was full with students sipping their mochas. The room was still. He moved through the crowd, and his fellow peers felt stuck in time. He saw her. Her face was pale. If you caught them at a glance, her eyes resembled glass. He had seen every inch of her in every shade. His fear raced through him. He had not seen or heard from her for the last 3 weeks. Sitting across from her, she told him. She recounted each step, leaving out details in order to spare him. His mind, however, filled in the blanks. Somewhere in some random apartment with a brick wall looking out to the city, there was a night of wild, reckless sex between strangers. And drinking till there was nothing left. She was a young example of a sheltered childhood. She was released into the city, and the moment awakened a side that she did not completely understand. A friend spotted her from across the crowd. Seeing an opportunity, he handed her an unopened beer. She smiled and accepted the gesture. She in one moment decided which side of her was going to win the night. As she downed the entire bottle, the friend offered another. And the night went on. The ground was uneasy as she teetered, walking across the room. Laughing at the thought of falling, until the room went dark. She awoke on some stranger's floor with her clothes at her feet. She looked and saw no one else. The night before was simply black. Black in the sense she could recount nothing. Did she willingly consent to end her commitment to him? Or did she fight to decipher which scene was true? She cradled herself on the floor. She clenched the sheet as if to will time to flow backwards. As he sits on the cold, damp, poorly tiled bathroom floor, he cannot feel the stillness of night. He cannot feel any more. There was a time he wanted nothing else but to explore. However, those dreams have left him out of spite as he sits on the cold, damp, poorly tiled bathroom floor. In front of him sit burnt photos and pages of his incomplete score. Crisp, burnt hues of indigo are mere reminders of a past life he cannot feel anymore. His lifeless eyes stare back at him through the mirror. He applies makeup to keep his self-inflicted bruises out of sight as he sits on the cold, damp, poorly tiled bathroom floor. Is there a way out? A different option that could restore some sense to this illusion? Or shall he be a victim of God's smite as he sits on the cold, damp, poorly tiled bathroom floor? He cannot feel anymore. He remains caught in this stagnant, endless phase. Her eyes continuously haunt him. What is fate? Wise men tell him, do not meet fear's gaze. It lures you in with its twisted hymn. He remains caught in this stagnant, endless phase. Young men live out their days in some craze, reckless and defenseless to what's in store for them. What is fate? Stern men, whom he's come to know as mentors, convey a lesson of letting roots grow into stems. He remains caught in this stagnant, endless phase. Grave men, whom have lived through similar days, hold out their hands, for they see he is forsaken. What is fate? And to you hear this. He is at a crossroads, deciding whether to stay or go. But hear this. Curse him or bless him, for he is the victim. He remains stagnant in this endless phase. What is fate?
Cut along the edge. Go up to the edge. See the world beneath you. Feel the air escape from your lungs, and state your pledge. Listen to us, trust us, heed our message. Our words are valid. You know this to be true. Cut along the edge. Look around you. This world holds you hostage. How are you to believe what's wrong and what's true? Feel the air escape from your lungs, and state your pledge. No need to wonder what your stance is. You live and learn. Too late, but hey, what is there to lose? Cut along the edge. Listen to us, trust us, heed our message. Blind faith has led you this far. Does your life feel a bit skewed? Feel the air escape from your lungs, and state your pledge.
He taps his fingers violently against his temples. It is a bit excessive, and to you hear this. He is at a crossroads. Then he hears the voices retune.
Cut along the edge. Go up to the edge. See the world beneath you.
He is still standing on his precipice, coming to a verdict. He whimpers to himself. Do not listen to the voices inside your head. Youth is wasted on the young, said only by the boys who've become men. Ignore the voices saying you'd be better off dead. Think of all the love that could be lying ahead. He wonders as the walls creep in. Should he respond? Do not listen to the voices inside your head. Good men who stay on their truth path instead live lives of merit. They see the beyond. Ignore the voices saying you'd be better off dead. He lies there paralyzed in his bed, unable to move or respond Do not listen to the voices inside your head. There is no light guiding him through tunnel of lead. Every day leads him to the never-answered question. Do not listen to the voices inside your head. Ignore the voices saying you'd be better off dead. Rage. 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 Sitting in the coffee shop, he wondered if one little piece had fallen out of place, would there have even been a trace? Sitting there, he wondered. Sitting under the willow, he wondered as he gazed at clouds how any of this could be allowed. Sitting under the willow. Sitting across from her, he catches himself from falling. He finds it hard to believe that this could be a feeling, sitting across from her. With a twist of fate, he found the meaning of home. He knew he would never again feel alone, with a twist of fate. Sitting in the grass, with the blades gently swaying, he found himself believing, sitting in the grass. Sitting amongst his peers, he found purpose, he found substance, sitting amongst his peers. Sitting on the stage, with the blue ghost light illuminating the possible stories playing out in his head. The question that remains is, why do we let misery linger and let happiness feel like it changes with the wind? Why do we obsess with gloom when all we do is yearn for light? Sitting there, he knew he felt something. This was a feeling he could not convey with words.